is Jalen Rose. I'm
What
David
up,
Jacoby.
Joe?
We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
Happy Monday, everybody. And after the uprising, the awakening, the unrest of all last week, late on Friday, Roger Goodell put out a video. Let's play a snippet of that.
We, the National Football League, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of Black people. We, the National Football League, admit we were wrong for not listening to NFL players earlier and encourage all to speak out and peacefully protest. We, the National Football League, believe Black lives matter.
Jalen, what do you think about the sincerity? How genuine did that feel to you?
A couple of bullet points stand out to me. Condemn, systemic, racism, Black Lives Matter. It's mainstream now, Jacoby. The cancel culture and the reality of watching a human being like George Floyd get killed with his knee to his neck while people were dealing with the coronavirus under a pandemic and forced to watch this for 9 minutes has been a unique awakening in our country that even Roger Goodell and the NFL have to recognize. If you want it to be genuine, here's what they should have done. PR 101. You should have gathered about 10 or 15 owners and do a version of the video that the players did that forced you to do it. That's what would have showed me something powerful. And when you say systemic, you mean ownership, GMs, presidents, coaches, people in decision-making position, in power. Not many Blacks in your league. I want to see it. That's the action, not the words.
And I also feel that everything he said, what he didn't say was one of the most important things. He said we didn't listen to NFL players. He didn't mention Colin Kaepernick by name. And Colin Kaepernick, this literally cost him his career to fight against social injustice. And I personally feel that he deserved to be mentioned because he said we didn't listen to NFL players, but the other NFL players are still NFL players. And it cost Colin Kaepernick his career. I think he definitely should have been mentioned by name in this video. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And the civil uprising with people from all races, from all countries, all sides of the world, Jacoby, London, the Netherlands, Africa. This movement has created such a groundswell that forces the NFL to acknowledge that they were wrong, yet still can't acknowledge Colin Kaepernick by name. Couldn't acknowledge him by name. That's the step to admitting you're wrong, is acknowledgement. Still didn't happen. And so I'm disappointed by that.
Well, there's a really interesting twist to this because if you sort of admit that you're wrong and that you should have listened to NFL players when you condemned them kneeling during the national anthem, what about this season? Adrian Peterson, a veteran, here's what he had to say about potentially kneeling this season. He said the following, quote, "Just 4 years ago, you're seeing Kaepernick taking a knee, and now we're all getting ready to take a knee together going into the season without a doubt. Yes, without a doubt, he plans on taking a knee." Interesting. He went on to say, "We've got to put the effort in as a group collectively. Are they going to try to punish us all? If not, playing football is going to help us save lives and change things, then that's what it needs to be." Jalen, do you see an NFL where you see a majority of the players taking a knee for the anthem?
I do, and it's going to happen. And this power and platform actually existed for NFL, NBA, entertainers, all of us 4 years ago. The difference is when you look back at history, a lot of us are going to be on the wrong side of it, thinking that Colin probably shouldn't take his protest to work. That's the biggest stage. That's when people are paying attention. So if I'm going to kneel, I'd rather do it on Sunday at work than on Tuesday on my day off, especially peacefully. Now the players have been emboldened. So the 12 people that did it before see the groundswell of corporate America having to recognize our voices legitimately. And so now it's going to give other Black athletes and white athletes in the NFL the freedom to actually feel if they wanted to kneel in peace, that they can actually do so.
One of the most powerful athlete voices that we have ever seen in history joins us right after this. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar joins us in just 2
people treat me like Kareem
minutes. Make sure you stay.
Abdul-Jabbar. People treat me like Kareem 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 Abdul-Jabbar. People treat me
Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby. Jalen Rhodes, who is joining us right now?
An intellect, an activist, a philanthropist. He had the most unstoppable shot in the history of the NBA. Not only is he an NBA champion 6 times over and a Hall of Famer, plus the NBA's all-time leading scorer, he is also a 4-time award-winning columnist that has written for the Hollywood Reporter, the LA Times, and The Guardian. I would like to welcome humbly to our show, El Capitan, Mr. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Welcome to the show, legend.
Thank you very much, Jalen. How you doing, Jacoby?
Thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate you joining the program. And you recently tweeted that you were into your thoughts and reevaluating what it means to be Black in America. What exactly did you mean by that?
Well, you have to just think back about how life in America has affected you as a Black person. And for me, it's had its ups and it's had its downs. But it all started for me back in 1955. I was 8 years old when Emmett Till was murdered, and I didn't understand that. And from that point on, I tried to figure out what I could do about it. So I think my life has reflected that.
It definitely has. And I felt like it was really profound when you said that you were caught between hope and history. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, Jalen, it's like you have a hope that America will live up to its promise, live up to the words in the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal and endowed with certain rights that are inalienable. But too often in America, Black Americans and other people of color have not been treated equally. And it gets to the point where police officers can murder Black people and harass them and treat them poorly. And we've got to stop that. It's been going on for too long.
In 2016, you were awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom for your work against social injustice and for equality. How important do you think it is that today's athletes get involved with this cause the same way?
I think it's crucial that today's athletes, take up the challenge and do what they have to do now in today's circumstances. Just like Black athletes before related to the circumstances that they were dealing with and tried to do the right thing. I mentioned Bill Russell, Jackie Robinson, Jesse Owens at the 1936 Olympics just made a statement for what we were all about. And it's Black athletes who are able to get people straight. Colin Kaepernick's protests about the exact event that ended up with the death of George Floyd. Colin really suffered for what he did, but now people see that he was talking about something that was absolutely valid, and we're taking it from there, and people are now appreciating his sacrifice. I think those things really make it clear that Black athletes have something to say and something to contribute to the advance of freedom, justice, and equality for all Americans.
And it almost seems like karma in a lot of ways for Black people, that the knee that killed George Floyd almost mirrored and was symbolic of the picture of Colin Kaepernick actually taking a knee during a peaceful protest before a football game. As somebody that's been a social warrior your entire life, and this was a young man over my shoulder, a part of the movement, how do you feel now seeing so many different people, colors, and backgrounds actually protesting and marching alongside? Does that look much different than it did back in the 60s?
Yeah, it does, Jalen, because in the 60s, people didn't understand as completely how Black people are defined by stereotypes that have nothing to do with who they really are. All of the stereotypes that were supposed to be typical of the black experience really had no validity. I'm thinking about what Reverend Sharpton said yesterday, that we could learn just like any other students could learn, but we couldn't deal with the underfunded schools because white America had their knee on our neck. And we could have done jobs and done corporate finance, all the difficult and intricate things that Americans do, black Americans could do, but we were denied the opportunity because America had its knee on our neck. That was just so many powerful statements that Reverend Sharpton made, and it was so accurate. And people get it now, and I'm hoping we've come to a point where we've got the political will to do something about this.
Well, there's so much going on in our society that is bigger than basketball, but I do have a basketball question for you. According to Caesars, two teams that you played for are the two teams that are favored to match up in the NBA Finals, the Lakers and the Bucks. Which team would you pick in a 7-game series?
Geez, I wouldn't pick any of them. I think I'm going to have to go and stay in a hotel until that series is over.
Those are his squads, Jacoby. He should have statues in front of both of those buildings.
Absolutely.
So
How
well,
about
I'm just
this?
going to wait and keep my mouth shut because I can't make enemies. You know, I live in one town. I go visit Milwaukee a lot and still have lots of fans and good relationships up there. So I'm going to just keep my mouth shut and hope everybody enjoys it if that does come to pass and the Lakers and Bucks are involved in the finals.
See, Jacoby, you and I don't know nothing about an all-time legendary pass. That's what he has. No. And how about being a youngster and a fan of Bruce Lee and Kung Fu movies? Jim Kelly was somebody that we idolized. And then all of a sudden I'm watching, and you're in a movie with Bruce Lee. And I realized I did more homework. You trained with him. He just had a documentary appear on ESPN on Sunday night. So can you give us any stories about working with Bruce Lee and the impact that he had on your life?
Well, Bruce was a very interesting guy, and he was not what you would think he was. He had been a child actor, and he ended up where he was born in the United States just by a pretty unique circumstance. His mother came to visit his father, who was performing in San Francisco while she was pregnant, and Bruce ended up being born in San Francisco. So he was able to come to America and attend the University of Washington and start teaching martial arts. And I was just really fortunate to meet him and catch an opportunity to train with him while he was working on the Green Hornet.
Well, I mean, obviously, with all the national unrest, it comes on top of a global pandemic. And how have you been keeping yourself busy during the COVID-19 quarantine?
Well, I'm working on a new technology that enables me to stay in touch with my fans and enables me to reach out to new fans. It's pretty neat. So if you want to know about it, just go to iconogram.com and I can do a message for you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you can find him on Iconogram, and you can find us coming back in just 2 minutes. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, I'm so proud to be your partner, especially because of the work you do with Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. What happened this weekend?
80 of our wonderful scholars from JRLA graduated this year. 100% of them, Jacoby, have been accepted to a college or a university, community college, military, or a trade school. We've graduated approximately 400 students from high school, 12 students the last 2 years from college. Our influence is between the ages of 14 and 22, a 9 through 16 model, open enrollment, tuition-free public charter, the charity that makes it to the hood. Shout to our fearless leader, our principal, Wendy Lewis, my co-founder, Michael Carter, each of the scholars, each of the parents. I'm so very proud of this labor of love. Our board, Jamie Foxx, Kyle Kuzma, Mike Epps, we are giving the people what they want.
We'll be back tomorrow at 4. Dan Le Batard is next.
一个爱很脆